Once upon a time, I was all alone. How you like me now? Do I turn you on? Now I got you drunk, hiding from the boy.
So, I sound like a man. I've already moisturized my face, primed my face. There you go. And now I'm gonna go in with color correcting. So I've been using LA Girl Pro Conceal solely on my entire face just to color correct. I haven't been using a whole lot. Whatever is kind of like on the wand, I kind of go a little bit lightly around my mouth and like right here on my chin, because when I was younger I ran full force into a cement pole and scraped the whole side of my face here. So it's dark here. I've always kind of been dark around my mouth slightly, but it's really dark here because of that. And then it's kind of dark on the hollows of my cheeks. So I just lightly go over there. And then I also am correcting this mark on my forehead. And then literally take the remainder and color correct the darkness under my eyes. So, from the beginning of the video, you guys know that today I'm going to be doing a first impression on the Milani Conceal Plus Perfect 2-in-1 Foundation Concealer Foundation. So it's this. I ordered my foundation off of ladymoss.com. I ordered this, and I ordered NYX eyebrow gel as well, even though I could have gone to my local Shoppers Drug Mart because they do sell NYX and Shoppers Drug Mart here in Canada, but I decided to order these two. So this video is going to be first impression on both of them, on how I like it. Also, as of recently, I've been using Real Techniques beauty blender, or their blending sponge, and I actually really like it. I do still have to do a review and demo with my black opal stick foundation, but that'll be a whole other video. I'll probably try and record that as I'm getting ready for work tomorrow. If not, that'll be on Friday that I record this. But yeah, the claims for this foundation is medium to full coverage, lightweight, oil-free formula, long wearing, water resistant, and sweat proof. Yeah, it says it lasts 12 months. I bought the shade Chestnut, which is number 13. And for anybody who's kind of gauging what my skin tone is, usually people like to compare it to MAC. I'm NC50 Studio Fix Fluid in MAC Pro Longwear. I use NC45 Pro Longwear Concealer. And I go from NC50 Studio Fix Powder. I mainly Studio Fix Powder in NC50 in the dead of winter because that's where I'm a little bit lighter. And then for the rest of the year, I'm like probably from May to like October, I'm NC55. So that kind of gauges. I'm also Macau in NARS Sheer Glow, and I am Sandalwood and Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. I'm using those specific foundations because Macau from NARS, NC50 Studio Fix Fluid, and Sandalwood Double Wear are the best matching foundations that I own. Kat Von D and Tarte. Kat Von D is a little bit lighter and Tarte is a little bit darker, so like I kind of tweak those foundations to specifically match me. So the other three examples that I gave you are the foundations that matches my skin complexion the best. So just so you have an idea, if you are looking to purchase a drugstore foundation, when I first started wearing makeup, I tried out a couple of drugstore foundations and I hated them. They look so ashy. They're either a little bit too red or like too like pink, like too light. I have a pretty golden undertone, and yes, I do have a little bit of red. Everybody has both red and yellow undertones to their skin, but obviously some are more predominant than others. So for me, my yellow undertones are way more predominant in my face and everything than my red undertones, right? So this seems like the perfect match, to be very honest. We'll see. So I'm gonna go wet my sponge and I'll be back to apply this foundation. Wet. Yeah. So I'm gonna take my foundation and I'm gonna put it on the sponge. Start off with one whole pump. Looks pretty thick. So I'm gonna use this type of the sponge and kind of just stipple it into my skin. And are you guys seeing how perfect this match is? Booyah! Shout out to Just One Christine. I watched several different reviews on this foundation. It smells good. It smells kind of citrusy. Maybe it's just me. But that's pretty good coverage. I mean, I don't need full coverage. If anything, sheer to medium is fine for me, like for my complexion. Like, I don't have a whole bunch of dark marks and things like that to cover, but I mean, I do prefer full coverage foundation just because 9 times out of 10 I do dramatic looks and I like I like the full coverage kind of look. Sorry, I'm looking at the viewfinder. That's so rude. I'm trying to like look more in the camera. So that was one pump of the foundation. It covered majority of here and a little bit of here. I still have a little bit more to go. So I'm going to do one whole other pump. I like how it feels on my skin. I definitely, I don't feel like it feels too heavy on my skin at all. It's very lightweight, so I definitely appreciate that. It is a little bit darker than I actually am. But that's okay because I'm gonna go in and conceal and highlight and all that stuff anyways. So me and Nana, we go into Walmart and I'm like, oh, I'm looking for something. And she's like, what are you looking for? I'm like, oh, this sponge, like to apply makeup. And she's like, okay. So we go into the Real Technique brush section, which is in the cosmetic section, and obviously the Real Technique brushes are there. There is absolutely no sponges to be found. So I'm like, oh, like that sucks. Like I actually really wanted to try it. So I'm walking around the aisles and I'm like just looking at the different foundations. I was looking at L'Oreal Lumi, L'Oreal True Match, CoverGirl, that Infallible foundation. I was like, okay, let me see if maybe I can buy another drugstore foundation. But I mean, I already had this coming on its way in the mail, so Nana was just like, do you really need to buy another foundation when you have one coming? Because I wanted to do a drugstore. I don't have drugstore foundation, so I wanted to get the Black Opal and this so that I can do a review and feel it out. And when I'm doing my makeup, I don't always have to recommend more expensive products. I can also recommend drugstore products, right? So I'm looking back and forth, and then I look to my right, and is not a brand new box of a 2-pack, okay? Not one, but a 2-pack of the sponges just sitting, like someone was gonna buy it and they just left it. God wanted me to find those sponges. He really did. He was like, girl, I'm gonna step your game up today. You're welcome. It took 2 pumps of the foundation to cover my face. It's pretty covered. I'm not gonna do anything like different. I'm gonna apply the rest of my makeup like I normally would. So like my concealer, my powder, my baking method, like all that jazz. I'm gonna do that like how I normally would because I just want to see how the foundation works, you know. So I'm gonna go in with LA Girl Pro Conceal. And I'm using the shade Cool Tan. I still love my Pro Longwear concealer, but I just haven't been using it lately. So I don't bake my entire face because that I don't find necessary. I just bake under my eyes because it helps the longevity of my concealer. that is the only method that I found for the past like a year and a half that keeps my concealer from creasing. So that's what I do, and it works. So now I'm going to set the rest of my face pretty lightly with Studio Fix powder in NC55. So I press that into my skin normally with any other foundation that I would be wearing. And then once I press it all in to kind of like set everything, then I like buff everything out. Okay. So far so good. So now I'm gonna contour my face using my 127 Zoeva brush in Luxe Sheer Cheek. It's just like the typical angled brush. And I'm using Inglot sculpting powder in 512. This sculpting powder is, I've said it in my previous video, is a little bit more of a reddish tone, so it's gonna kind of warm up my face a little bit more, which is what I'm going for. So I contour pretty much like obviously the perimeter of my face. I do not contour my nose. I just don't find it necessary. I contour my jawline. And I blend that down into my neck. And then I also contour the sides of my temple for this big ass forehead. So while my bake is still baking, I'm now going to do a first impression on the NYX eyebrow gel. So I'm going to take just an old mascara from eyebrow gel and brushing my brow hairs upwards. Taking my Zoeva 317 wing liner brush. I adore this for my brows. So I'm going to take the product and just disperse it onto my brush and kind of like thin it out because I don't want too much product. So once my brow is pretty much filled the way that I like it, I'm gonna brush the front of my hairs, and this kind of aids in brushing the product through as well, and then just kind of like see where else I need to like fill in a little bit more. And yeah, I don't really care for like a uniform brow look, so if my hairs are a little unruly at the front, I actually like that. And then I go in and kind of like fill in like the spaced places. So my first impression on this is I like it. I like the color. I think the color matches me perfectly fine. The only thing is it does dry a little bit faster than the Anastasia Beverly Hills, because like the Anastasia Beverly Hills pomade is a pomade, so it's like creamy, and I like the Anastasia Beverly Hills after maybe like a few weeks because it's a little bit drier and it's like a little bit more opaque when you're applying it, as opposed to when you first get it, it's like kind of like really sheer and streaky. This basically reminds me of what the Anastasia Beverly Hills pomade is a few weeks after, but this setting time is so much faster. So if you can't work fast when you're doing your brows, like the mornings where I go slower on my brows, like I'm gonna have problems, or I'm gonna have to like conceal around it because it dries really fast, and it's not an easily movable product like the Anastasia Beverly Hills is. So like I kind of have to add a little bit of the product inch by inch and add it through to make it more even, and that could pose as a problem if you are heavy-handed with products, because then your brows might come out like really dark. So out of 5 stars, I'd give it maybe like a 3.5 just because it's not as like blendable as the pomade, but I really, really like the texture of it and I like the color. So I mean, for a drugstore, it definitely has my brows looking bomb. So who could be mad at that? I mean, this was what, $7, and Anastasia is what, 24. So I mean, I'll take the 3.5 for $7. So yeah, I definitely recommend this. Warm Soul by MAC. It's a mineralized blush, and I'm gonna apply that on the apples of my cheeks and blend it back into my contour because it is like a warmer blush. So I find it helps the transition of my highlight into my skin. So I'm going to do where's my glue brush? Probably don't have one. I'm gonna use the same brush and I'm gonna dip it into Inglot's 04 Sparkle Dust. Tap off the excess. I also swirl it around in the cap so I really get it in. And then I just go and sweep it over my blush. I'm gonna be using 3 different highlighters today, you guys. Like, the glow is gonna be real. So my second highlight is going to be my MAC Golden Bronze Iridescent Powder. This is discontinued, but go ahead and get you some either Artist Couture powders. I've never tried it, but I heard they're all the rave. Or get you some Inglot. I want to try the Makeup Addiction highlighters because of Peak Mill, but we'll see when that happens. So I'm going to apply that all over as well. All over on top of the Inglot, and this is gonna kind of add a little bit more warmth. Inglot's like bronzy, this is more golden. Glow up. The final glow is going to be So Hollywood Illuminator by Anastasia Beverly Hills, and just at the peak of my highlight here, that's where I'm going to concentrate that, because again, I said this before, if I were to just wear this on its own, it would be way too much. Like, it would be way too cool toned of a highlighter. Yeah, the ending clip, I'll have my complete makeup on, and my eye makeup and lip makeup for that will be in a separate video, like I said, for the Makeup for Women of Color makeup challenge. They're going to be having challenges every week for the summer, so from July to about September. So if you're interested, go ahead, go follow them on Twitter, join that hashtag, join the challenge. Any skill level is allowed to join, so try it. That's a great way to practice if you're just getting into makeup. I'll be entering the challenges and I'm very excited. It'll be another way for me to, you know, get myself out there and practice and just be more creative and stuff. So I'm about that life. So yeah, bye you guys. My Milani 2-in-1 foundation. It's banging.
So you guys, I didn't really get to record a little bit after doing my makeup, but the foundation held up really well. It held up to the claims. I found that I didn't really get too oily as the day went on. It definitely lasted. It didn't fade off my skin. I'll definitely be using this foundation a lot more in my videos. Let me know if you guys would want to see a more in-depth review of the foundation, but I totally love it. My first impression of the foundation is A1. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.
Like that.